Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Experts, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so that we all know exactly what is happening. My name is Jess and we do these live streams every single weekday. So if you are new here, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell notification button. We are so close to 3,000 subscribers right now. Hopefully we can achieve that in today's live stream. We are literally a couple of away. Let's take a look at the price of Bitcoin now. First of all, we have Bitcoin set at $27,595, down another 1.2% in the last 24 hours. We have Ethereum down 0.8% at 1,840. So Ethereum is currently outperforming Bitcoin. At the end of today's stream, we will be doing some price analysis for Bitcoin. We'll take a look at the CME gap as well and see what's happening with that. And before we do, though, we should be taking a look at the cryptocurrency news. Now, I've selected a few stories today, but they are major stories. First of all, we have Ripple to spend $200 million in its lawsuit with the SEC. Now, there's been a lot of problems with the SEC over the last couple of months. Let's get everything set up correctly before we get into this. So what we can see here is that the Ripple boss revealed they tell entrepreneurs to avoid starting businesses in the US for lack of regulatory clarity. Now, this is something we mention a lot on the live streams. Part of me thinks that you guys are going to get sick of hearing about this soon, but it's such an important thing that we need to talk about because this is really holding the industry back. So in the US, the regulators are it depends what you classify your cryptocurrencies as. If an asset is a security, then it needs to be regulated by the SEC. Now, the SEC are very strict on how they regulate cryptocurrencies. And sorry, I was just getting distracted by the chat then. And when they are regulating cryptocurrencies, they can make it very difficult for cryptocurrency companies to continue to grow in the jurisdiction. Now, we've seen the SEC go after different cryptocurrency exchanges in the last couple of months, but we've massively seen, obviously, this ongoing lawsuit with Ripple and XRP since back in 2021, I believe. We will get into that. It's actually 2020. So let's take a look at this. James has just said, are we live in the chat? Let's check out, let's refresh the page. Maybe it's because I've not refreshed the page yet. Yep, I'm getting $27,576 for Bitcoin on both Crypto Saving Expert and on TradingView as well, James. I'm looking at the Binance chart there. But let's get back onto the cryptocurrency news story. So we have the CEO of Ripple Labs revealed that the company will have spent $200 million by the end of its legal battle with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, I would say this lawsuit is very important because this has been an ongoing battle. And we can see here the lawsuit began in December 2020. And there's been a lot of work going into this on both sides. So if Ripple managed to come out on top, it could be a big thing for the cryptocurrency industry as a whole, not just for this particular project. Let's take a look at what's going on here anyway. So, according to a CNBC report, the Ripple boss disclosed the figure on Monday during a fireside chat at the Dubai FinTech Summit, adding that the firm would be spending a large sum on a lawsuit that does not make a lot of sense. So recall that the SEC sued Ripple in December 2020, alleging that the crypto payment platform illegally sold its XRP tokens as unregistered securities. So this is what's going on here. To determine whether an asset is a security or a commodity in the US, we use something called the Howey test, which was created in the 1940s. Now, the SEC are targeting different cryptocurrency companies and saying those assets that you are offering are securities. Now, there's a debate around this, whether these assets are actually securities or not. So the legal battle has stretched over 2 years, with Ripple arguing that the token does not fall under investment contracts as stipulated in the Howey test. A US judge is expected to pass a verdict on the case in the coming months. So this has been a case that's been ongoing for over 2 years now, and we are starting to see that this could come to an end. And this is really important for the entire cryptocurrency industry. So we can see here that the Ripple CEO has said, with the SEC, we will spend, this is the first time I've shared this publicly, by the time all's said and done, we will have spent $200 million defending ourselves against a lawsuit, which from its very beginning, people were like, well, this doesn't make a lot of sense. So Garling House insisted that SEC Chairman Gary Gensler and several of the agency's officials previously stated that most digital assets were commodities, contradicting the regulator's current stance that XRP is a security. And we can also see that he's argued, you have video footage of the chair of the SEC as a professor at MIT saying that 75% of these digital assets are commodities. And now he says they're all securities because he's the head of the SEC and he's seeking power. And he's putting power ahead of sound policy to grow an economy in the United States. So what we are seeing here is that this test isn't clear. It's not easy to classify whether an asset is a commodity or a security, and we need clarity around that. The cryptocurrency space is begging out for that, but we've not seen any movements towards that clarity. We've seen Coinbase try and get some clarity around this as well, but they've just not been successful so far. So we are seeing power over sound policy here, as I have just said, and this article does go into a bit more detail. So if you want more detail on that, make sure to go to cryptosavingexpert.com, the best cryptocurrency website out there. And also, today is newsletter day. So if you have missed today's newsletter, make sure you don't miss the next one. Go to the cryptosavingexpert.com website, press that big blue sign up button there, create an account, and if you tick that box as well, you get our newsletter every single Tuesday at 11 a.m. BST time to keep you up with the latest in crypto. Let's take a look now at the next article here. We have a lot to discuss. I wish I'd brought a coffee before I started this stream. Desperate need of a coffee here. Sam Bankman-Fried files motion to dismiss 10 charges. So the lawyers said in a filing that the initial charges against the crypto founder were vague and non-specific charges, and the founder is fighting back against accusations against them. In a Monday filing, the attorneys represented SBF asked the court to dismiss all but 3 criminal charges slammed on the FTX founder following the collapse of the crypto exchange in November last year. The charges against SBF were bumped up to 13 following superseding indictments unsealed in February. However, the motions filed with the Southern District of New York Federal Court seek to dismiss all charges except the conspiracy to commit securities fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. And in their arguments, the lawyer said the 8 charges initially unsealed against SBF less than a month after FTX's implosion were dramatic and a classical rush to judgment on the government's side. Not surprisingly, this resulted in an indictment containing 8 vague and non-specific charges against Sam Bankman-Fried, the filing reads. So this is what we are seeing here. Now, this is a really interesting topic. A lot of people don't like to talk about FTX. So FTX filed FTX paused withdrawals in November 2022, and SBF was running FTX in a way that the traditional banks seem to run. So SBF was basically trading user funds with high leverage, putting it at risk, and eventually the whole thing fell apart. Now, with these problems, he has been charged with many different things: conspiracy to commit something and then actually committing something over and over again, wire fraud. What was the example we've just seen then? Conspiracy to commit securities fraud, actual securities fraud. There's a huge list of this. Now, when this first happened here on these very live streams, we had that Martini guy on the channel, and he was saying that he thinks FTX would reboot and it would become a cryptocurrency exchange once again. And that is looking more and more likely. We've seen the new CEO, so he's not ruled that out of the question. They have the liquidity to do so, and they have the framework to do so. Now, the next prediction that Martini guy did make here on the channel was that SBF would get away with it, and he wouldn't actually get faced with all of these charges. And now, that's looking even more likely. I don't know how he does it, but he's done it again. We can see here, contrary to what many believe, the filing further alleged that FTX collapsed due to the crypto winter in 2022, which also affected other major companies and exchanges, even leading to some to bankruptcy. So the lawyers have stated FTX, the non-US exchange founded by Sam Bankman-Fried and others, lasted far longer, paying back billions to customers and lenders during the course of the year, but ultimately succumbed to the same market forces regarding the additional indictments unsealing against SBF in February. The lawyers argued it was not a basis for granting SBF extradition to the United States. And now we are also seeing that SBF's trial date might change as well. So it's scheduled to begin in October 2023. However, its lawyers said in March that a date change might be needed, considering the superseding what's the word? I keep saying it wrong every single time. indictment as they await to receive a substantial portion of evidence. I'm never gonna say it correctly. So this is what's happening here. Now, this is a really interesting thing here to see how this plays out. Will that Martini guy be correct again, and will all of these charges slowly fade away for SBF, or will he actually face years and years in prison? We'll have to stay up to date with that news here on the channel. So if you are new around here, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Let's move on to the next article here. We have the Philippines rescues over 1,000 human trafficking victims forced to run crypto scam. So law enforcement authorities in the Philippines has rescued victims forced to work 18 hours a day on a crypto romance scam. Let's take a look at this article. During the weekend, police in the Philippines busted a crypto scam ring, rescuing more than 1,000 victims of human trafficking, and they have been forced to run fraudulent crypto investment operations under captivity. We can see here that they've added, you're like a prisoner without a cell. You're not even allowed to talk to your roommates. They are not allowed to leave outside the bounds of the gate. After 18 hours of work, they're brought to their dormitory. And the police raid led to the rescue of 1,090 victims in total. And roughly 12 suspected ringleaders of the scheme were also arrested and will be charged with human trafficking, according to the report. Now, we've seen here, obviously, Philippine crypto scams in the Philippines have soared 170% within the last year. So that is a huge increase. And we can see here that cybersecurity firm have stated that the scams were mainly in the form of phishing and fake giveaways. The flow of scammers who parasite on this topic does not dry out. So the security company have also said, in order to lure victims into their networks, these scammers continue to come up with new and more interesting stories. So that is definitely something we need to be aware of. Obviously, they're based in the Philippines, but it doesn't mean that they're targeting people all over the world. So we just need to be incredibly careful when looking at cryptocurrencies. So let's take a look at the next article here. We have Spark Protocol eyes launch and will be accessible for all DeFi users. So MakerDAO, the protocol responsible for issuing the DAI stablecoin. Now that's a top 20 cryptocurrency, I think. Let's check what ranking DAI has in terms of market cap. It's up here, number 17 in terms of market cap. So they are the issuer of DAI is MakerDAO, and they have created now Spark Protocol. And this will be available for all DeFi users starting Tuesday. So the Spark Protocol is based on Aave blockchain and is a front-end application enabling users to interact with DAI via borrowing, lending, and staking. Initially, the end-user-focused and DAI-centered DeFi product will be deployed on the Ethereum network and will lend and borrow features, and will have lend and borrow features for ETH, staked ETH, DAI, and staked DAI as well. So if you want to learn a bit more about the staked, what was it called? The Spark Protocol, make sure to go to cryptosavingexpert.com and check out that news article. All you need to do is click news at the top here. You get access to all of the latest news. Also, if you go to our Twitter at cryptosavingexp, no ERT at the end because that's too long, then you get access to those as well. We always post those immediately as the news drops on the website. Let's move on to the next article here. We've got 2 more to go, and then we'll be taking a look at TradingView and doing a little bit of analysis on the price of Bitcoin. So we have Coinbase CEO says US bank failures sparked renewed interest in crypto. So we've seen a lot of fears around the banking system within the last couple of months. We did see banks shut down earlier in March. Then we've seen First Republic Bank in, was that in April or in May? In the most recent weeks. And we've seen fears around other banks as well. The stock prices of banks have been tumbling massively. And we have now seen, according to Brian Armstrong, the CEO and co-founder of leading cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase, he's commented on the current state of the US traditional banking crisis and cryptocurrencies and said that the fears around the banks have caused people to look at cryptocurrencies a little closer. And that's something I would definitely agree with. When we've seen fears around the banking system, we've definitely seen significant increases in the price of Bitcoin. So let's take a look at what he's got to say anyway. Now, this man has been pushing forwards for regulation in the US. He's a strong man in cryptocurrency now. I'm a big fan of Brian Armstrong in the last couple of months. Let's take a look at what he's had to say. He said, we've seen this from customers who talk to all over the world. They feel like the current traditional system is too slow and the fees are too high and people don't have equal access. So that's really important. important. So this is because of he's had a conversation, an interview with CNBC, and they've noted that bank failures are making people reconsider crypto and see it as an alternative system. And Armstrong believes the US financial system is in significant need of an update. So one of the most amazing things I think about cryptocurrency is that it can bank the unbanked. And that is a really important feature of cryptocurrencies that I don't think people talk about enough. Let's take a look at what else Brian Armstrong has had to say. So according to the CEO, crypto could be the solution to updating the traditional financial system. He said, just zooming in, that's the most important thing that people should think about with crypto, is that this is a technology that can be used to update the financial system and improve it in many different ways. When asked if the current banking crisis had a material impact on Coinbase, he noted that his answer no, adding that the exchange is quite comfortable with the current situation of the banks that they work with. He did note, though, that Coinbase had about 5 US banks it worked with going back a few months and witnessed the failure of 2 of those. However, the exchange has since restored that level of redundancy with new bank relationships, according to the CEO. So cryptocurrency companies are still trying to build forwards despite the problems within the traditional markets. Let's move on to the next article here, the final one of the day. Hong Kong says its crypto push doesn't mean light touch regulation. Now, we are seeing a huge amount of companies move around the world, changing jurisdictions, changing their focus because of the problems we're seeing with regulation in the US. Now, Hong Kong has positioned itself in a very good way. So the UK said they wanted to become the cryptocurrency hotspot over a year ago now, I believe. And then we didn't really see too many actions towards that goal. However, Hong Kong said something similar. And they've actually started to see, we've seen some pretty good actions from Hong Kong. The banks in Hong Kong want to work with cryptocurrency companies. They're trying to regulate it in a nice way so the industry can continue to grow. So many companies within crypto are looking at Hong Kong and saying this is a brilliant place for our headquarters. Let's take a look at this. So Hong Kong says its crypto push doesn't mean light touch regulation. Let's take a look at what is in this article. In a bid to revive its position as a global financial center, Hong Kong proposed welcoming rules to attract and regulate cryptocurrencies, among other sectors. However, the city's support for the industry does not mean regulation will be light touch, according to the Hong Kong Monetary Authority chief executive. So during an interview on Tuesday, he mentioned that Hong Kong had tight regulations on cryptocurrencies in the past. However, due to the city's ambition of becoming a regional crypto hub, the rules are being softened to a reasonable and sustainable level. But they would like to say that the regulation will still be tight. It's not completely being removed. We will let them create the ecosystem here, and that actually brings a lot of excitement, but that doesn't mean light touch regulation. Now, obviously, this is pretty clear. They're not going to say, just go on, just do whatever you want to do. We do need regulation within the cryptocurrency space, whether we like it or not. As long as the regulation allows us to continue to grow, it can help us shake out bad actors in this space, like SBF. So we can see here the market meltdown and implosion of major cryptocurrency companies last year resulted in more pressure among global regulators to tighten regulation on the sector. Hong Kong rather grew lenient on crypto and has seen major companies declare an interest in expanding to the city. So they are trying to take shape with their ambitions for becoming a cryptocurrency hotspot. We did report that the guidelines would also grant retail investors access to trade major digital currencies, including Bitcoin and Ethereum, on approved platforms starting in June. So that is just 1 month away now, and that could cause a huge move for the cryptocurrencies. Now, many people, including myself, are in the belief that Asia could be a major driver in the next bull market, and Hong Kong is positioning itself brilliantly for that. So let's take a look at this. Last month, the Monetary Authority hosted a meeting between crypto firms and bankers to facilitate direct dialogue, share practical experiences and perspectives in opening and maintaining bank accounts, and essentially facilitate better banking experience for the cryptocurrency industry. So Hong Kong are really accelerating in becoming the next cryptocurrency hotspot. They've been working very hard to do so, and it's becoming very successful. Let's take a look at the price of Bitcoin now and see what's going on. I'm going to tell you the same again. These lines have not been changed here on the channel for weeks, and we've been looking at these levels of support and resistance, and the price of Bitcoin has been, what's the word? It's been treating them very, very nicely. That wasn't the word I was looking for, but it'll do for now. So we do have this level of previous support that has acted like a resistance in the past between that $27,700 level and $27,800 level. Now we have unfortunately broken down through that. We have so far been using it as a resistance right now. So this is telling me that we could be retesting this zone of support down at 26,900 to 26,600. However, if we manage to break back through this zone, then we could be between this range, and this range has a level of resistance at, where's this gone? Well, I've just unclicked it. 28,600 to 28,800. So that's what we're looking there for for the price of Bitcoin. Let's take a look at the RSI and the MACD before we finish today's stream. RSI, MACD, we can see here the RSI is looking pretty oversold right here on the 4-hour chart. The MACD is looking like the bearish momentum is weakening, and at a pretty quick rate as well. So that's interesting. I'll be keeping a close eye on Bitcoin today. But that is all we have for today's stream. So thank you very much for tuning in with us. As always, please don't forget to like and subscribe. We are so close to 3,000 subscribers right now. I've just turned the nose on my stream. Let's see how close we are to 3,000 subscribers before we close off today's stream. Hopefully we will reach this goal by the end of the day. We currently have, let's count down, 2,997. Please, if you are watching this, make sure we get to 3,000 by the end of the day. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll see you all back here with more cryptocurrency news very, very soon.